My name is Candace. I'm with Bottle Tree Farm, and today I wanted to talk about Espalier fruit trees and why I do them this way, and maybe some pruning tips and how I maintain mine. Funny story, when I planted these apple trees several years ago, I got my research and I started pruning like my research told me to, not realizing that apple trees, there are two types of apple trees. One fruits on the tip and one fruits with spurs. So for several years I was cutting off these are tip bearing, so I was actually cutting off the blooms every year and not realizing why my fruit trees never bloomed. So one thing to consider when you're buying fruit trees, especially for an Espalier project, is to make sure you know what you're getting, so you know how to prune them, because you would prune them differently. And one year I got busy and I didn't do my annual fall pruning, and I just let the trees go wild, and in the spring I got my first blossoms, and I realized the mistake I had been making, which is a joke on me, but that's okay. And these are not textbook Espalier trees, but they do produce fruit, so that works for me, and that's my main goal. They are wild, and I don't prune them as well as I could, but like I just said, they work for me and they produce apples, and I'm happy with that. So one thing I look for is I like to prune in the springtime, because I can see where the fruit is developing, and I can see where my new growth is, and just kind of get an idea of what I want to prune and where. So one branch I see that I could prune is actually this one. We have a lot of new growth right here on this branch right here, but there's not a lot going on up above. So what I'm going to do is actually go right above this growth tip right here and prune at an angle, and you want to go right behind the tip. Make sure you don't cut off your new growth, and just cut as closely behind that as possible at an angle, and that will keep that will help any rainwater drain, so there's not water sitting directly on a cut and potentially causing disease. I'm going to save this for my rabbits. They love apple clippings. And an example of previous pruning where I cut the limb back and actually got apples off the side growths would be this limb right here, and there are quite a few good side growths right here where the apples have produced. This branch is a really good example of why I choose to wait. Normally I would prune right here where the new growth is, but since I waited, I can see that actually the tip is blooming on this one. So I'm going to let this one go until next year, and then I will probably cut this back next year and let this one move forward.